with our second opening of my Express Mail Days. If you haven't seen the first opening of the first box, please check out that video. We are now going to be jumping into an 18 card PSA Express Mail Day that just arrived. And I'm telling you, for all of my cardboard stands out there, all you nerds, this is going to be a fun box to open. All right, so let me dig into this guy and we will see what's inside. Just look how beautiful that is. Look at that, all that organization, how the light shines on the plastic, on the clear cases, how everything is just so put together uniformly. It's just beautiful, and I'm about to disrupt it. All right, come on cards, let's get out of here. Let's see what's in here. Okay, all right. So, now not every card is gem mint, as you can clearly see, but this is still gonna be a good order. So overall, I believe that we have 12 gem mint cards out of a possible 18. And we see one of the ones that didn't clearly make it, right? All right, so this is straight from, we're gonna jump right into it. Straight from 2021 Donruss, we have the super short print Gridiron Marvels. And I've bought 2 of these cards. This one has a gigantic scratch going down the middle of the card. It seems like in 2021, card companies have completely forgotten how to print cards. They're outsourcing their printing to the cheapest supplier possible in order to charge us the maximum possible price for their products. And in doing so, we are getting cards that should have a gem rate of less than 5%. And sometimes PSA kicks us a bone and gives us a gem mint every now and then. But with that said, I had no idea that Gridiron Marvels was just so horribly produced. Or that, you know, a lot of the inserts that they're making, it's not a chromium type of product. It's a, you know, more of a foil type product. I've never seen surface lines, roller marks on, you know, an actual foil type card. You see that on chrome. You see that on chrome roller marks. Not so much with this type, but this card had it. Now, having said that, I did not feel like I needed to send the card back to the person, even though they did not disclose that. And I also didn't feel like selling that raw. Given this is a very expensive card, to me, I felt like it was my obligation. I just bought the card. I don't want to pass it on as a dud, and it's going to be impossible to sell with, you know, issues like that, because most people, if you try to sell it to, you know, somebody else, they're going to want it to be returned. So really, shame on the seller for not disclosing it in the beginning. This is something that we as an industry absolutely need to fix. It's why I really hate selling things on my own, because having to deal with buyers is difficult. But at the same time, you need to disclose your flaws. Disclose the flaws, especially if you're spending $1,500 on a raw card. So that's my soapbox for this order. Let me know what you guys think down below. Should every flaw be described? I think it should. It really should, because you have people forking over, you know, $1,400, $1,500 for a card. You want to know what you're getting, right? It's not like I'm just buying some $5 card, and if it shows up beat up, then, you know, it's $5. It's a Big Mac. It's not even a Big Mac meal. $5 is a Big Mac now. Talk about ripoff. All right. So next up, back on the gem mint train. So you all saw in my last video, if you did not see that, I got a PSA 8 Shohei Ohtani of this exact same card, which really breaks my heart. But I did also say that that card came alongside this as a base card. So getting this as a PSA 10 helps offset some of the loss that I'm going to get from that PSA 8, which is clearly going to hurt. It's going to lose maybe a couple grand on that one, but this actually does help offset that loss a little bit. So really happy to get that. And I'm telling you guys, PSA does me right with my non-autographed Ohtanis. It's only whenever I send them something that has some Ohtani ink on it, then they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't know what to do with that. We're not putting 10 on that. That's too much money. But if it doesn't have ink on it, I'm telling you, I get pretty good grades whenever it comes to Ohtani. And this is no exception. So pink refractor from Topps Chrome Update PSA 10. And then we got a refractor from Topps Chrome PSA 10. Market has softened on these, obviously. The baseball season is over. He is going to be the MVP. He was just announced Baseball America's Player of the Year for Major League Baseball. He's going to be racking up all the accolades. Hype for him is going to be pretty enormous going into spring training. I'm not going to have these cards to pump for spring training. All these cards are going to be getting sold because guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go right back to eBay and I'm going to buy these exact same cards and I'm going to do the exact same thing over and over and over until it's not worth doing it anymore. So that's kind of my strategy. X-Fractor, PSA 10. And now we get into some of the 9s. Now this is a card that I was really hoping was not going to 9. I tried to be somewhat picky with some of these cards. Obviously this is $150 per card. And this card is probably only worth $150 raw. But I really thought this card had a good shot at getting gem mint. Now, having said that, it's a little bit hard to do because if you look at the back, we've got a lot of dark spots here where it's easy for the white to show up. So just looking at this, I would have graded this card as a PSA 10 if you're looking at the corners alone. Now, there could be another flaw out there, whether it be surface or something else. I really thought this was good enough to be a PSA 10. Turns out that's not the case. Because this card would have done really, really well. These out of this worlds, I think this is going to be an insert that sticks. Anybody who blows up out of this set, out of this world cosmic or out of this world cubic, which I think there's a cubic, these inserts are absolutely going to be fire, in my opinion. The hobby just hasn't picked up on it yet. They're out there too busy getting kabooms and they're too busy, chasing those things that look like Marvel cards or NFTs. They just haven't caught on to the trends that are going to stick later on down the line. But, that's their loss. They're eventually going to come around, I think. All right, this is another set that I also think is going to stick. This is the Rookie Revolution, and this is the Cosmic variation. So Cosmic is, again, very similar, the same type of parallel as before. There's a cubic version of this. I thought this one was going to have a good chance too. If you look, surface on these cards really isn't that bad. This is actually a card stock that Panini uses that is actually a good card stock. Like, it's not something that gets beat up very often. So these are usually easy grades. You only really have to look at the corners. The corners on this are perfect. So it very well could have been like a surface issue where I didn't either rub it down enough or something, but I literally think this card looks perfect. So it'd be interesting. There's a little crease right there. That's in the plastic on the sleeve, so it's not on the card. Otherwise, if that was a crease, that would be a PSA, 4, 5, 6, something like that. So I know we're in the sleeves here, so it's hard to really look at the cards, but it's kind of what we're looking at. But I actually think these PSA 9s are probably going to do okay. Again, probably going to take a loss. These cards aren't expensive. I'm trying to do the first to market process. And in some instances, for Mac Jones, I did exactly that. So season stat line, number to 500. This bad boy came back PSA 10. Mac Jones, to me, is the only real rookie worth buying at this point. I mean, we're over a third of the way through the season. The Patriots are the only real interesting team. I mean, Trey Lance started a game for the 49ers, but he's now going to be replaced by Garoppolo. I mean, you have Fields for Chicago. I really don't see him going anywhere. It's, a game-by-game type of situation. They're not expected, in my opinion, to make the playoffs. At least I don't think. Gosh, the Jet situation with Zach, that's just not going to go well. Same thing with Lawrence down in Jacksonville. I don't think any of those are going to be really guys that I would want to buy within the next 6 months because they're just going to continue to rack up L after L after L. So, yeah, I really think Mac Jones is the only interesting guy. He is the only one who has demonstrated an ability to, lead a team. He's made a lot of mistakes. Obviously, he's a rookie, but he actually shows promise. He is showing that he could actually stick around. Now, is he going to have hobby stardom a year from now, 2 years from now? He's going to have to start competing, obviously, with like Josh Allen in his division, potentially Deshaun Watson in his division if the Dolphins make a play on him. So there's going to be a lot of different things that he's going to have to overcome, and the AFC is just loaded with quarterbacks. I mean, the main guy is Patrick Mahomes, right? Then we've got Josh Allen, we've got Justin Herbert, we've got Lamar Jackson, we've got Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow is the 5th quarterback that I mentioned. I mean, come on, there's a lot of talent in the AFC in terms of young quarterbacks. So for this year, we're going to have this nice little honeymoon phase where it's over for most quarterbacks, but it's still going for Mac. And Mac is probably going to be talked about a lot, especially if the Patriots keep making some plays. And in that division, it's basically the Bills that they have to worry about. It's nobody else. Now, granted, the Bills are a far superior team. Enough talking about Mac Jones. I think that he's about the only rookie worth buying at this point this year. The other guys are complete speculative buys. Trey Lance will be a good buy at some point. I don't know if they're going to move to him next year or not. We shall see. So ended up getting 2 of these Mac Jones. Think that those will be good, especially since it's first to market or second to market. Did grade some certified parallels. Man, again, I tried to be very picky. No white at all on the back of these corners. So I'm trying my absolute best to be picky. This one was determined not to be a gem mint card. Centering looks good. I don't know what I missed on this. Again, this looked like this grade, or at least this order was graded at a little bit more difficult level compared to some of my previous orders. But still, 12 out of 16 gems, 66%. Did get a mirror blue. Mirror blue came back PSA 10. This is number 275. And I would rather have the blue gem than the red because, blue is the matching color. I guess red is still like a secondary color, but it's also a lower numbered card. So lower numbered card, number 275, I'll take it. More Mac Jones. Speaking of red, this is the 2021. Some people call this the graffiti insert. This is what people called graffiti for a couple of basketball years earlier. They brought this over from basketball. I really like this insert set. It grades pretty well. This is the red parallel, number to 99, and that one came back PSA 10. And wouldn't you know it, how am I going to talk about the best quarterback in the NFL and not have a gem mint card in the exact same order? Well, I've got one right here. And let's just clear everybody else out of the way because they're not even worth talking about. All this other stuff is just junk because Patty is my guy. He is the only football card worth collecting. All these other ones that are coming up for option, I don't care if you don't bid a cent on them. This is the guy that you really need to buy, Patrick Mahomes. And yes, I still have a ton of these optics that are still I'm waiting on. I've got 2 more in this order that have come back fresh from PSA. I had comments like, how in the world did you find a batch of 8 more optics? Because if you look at one of my most recent videos, I graded 8 of these and all 8 came back gem mint. Well, in this order, I found 2 more and those 2 came back gem mint. Absolutely makes sense to send these guys off. If you can buy them, at the right price, send them off. These are still, pushing that $1,300, $1,400 mark. It's amazing. These guys have dropped almost 20% since the beginning of the year. I've talked about this before in my last mail day video. Mahomes is leading the league in touchdowns. He's 3rd in pass yards. Yes, he's either first or second in interceptions. But again, Tyreek Hill will eventually relearn how to catch the ball. And so will, Pringle or Hardman or whoever it was that dropped the no-look pass that would have been number 1 on SportsCenter. But it ended up being the number 1, things that you shouldn't do because it went right through his hands and it got intercepted in the Ravens game. I get it. But Mahomes is showtime. Threw for almost 397 yards last week. Got a big game coming up, a big stretch of games, really. But I mean, telling you, Mahomes is my guy. I'm going to, die on that train. Everybody else wants to talk about who's going to be the next guy. I mean, every single week it's somebody different who's like, oh, this is the MVP candidate. Every week someone is trying to overtake Mahomes, and Patty Cake is just always hiding back there. Him and Brady, both, are just kind of sitting back there like, all right, you guys have your time. You guys can have your week-to-week discussions about who's going to be in the MVP. We'll see at the end of the year who are the last people standing, whether it be for MVP discussion or for another, Super Bowl ring. I was going wedding ring. I ain't got one of those. Super Bowl ring. I don't have one of those either. But Tom Brady has 7 of them. Patty Cake has 1. He's probably going to get number 2 here soon at some point. All right, Blaze Jordan. Clearly not Patrick Mahomes. And I also got a 9 on this, so... yes, this will be selling. Now, good thing about this is number 1 of 50, so this automatically makes this worth at least like 10 times what all the other ones are worth. So this is a 1 of 1. It is the only one in the world because it's number 1 of 50, and it doesn't matter if this is a 9. It just means this card is worth a fortune, and I'm going to be rich after I sell it. Speaking of rich, they really should have called this Panini Revolution LaMelo Ball Asia Yellow, because if you saw that jumpsuit that he wore at the end of his first game to match his Lamborghini, I swear, man, it looked like this guy was about to go cook up some blue stuff, you know, Breaking Bad style. Like, what in the world? Like, I don't even want to hold this card anymore. But I will say, this is a really nice card. This is a Pop 1, and LaMelo Ball played really, really good. And this is a Pop 1 parallel. Not many people have graded this parallel, as it's a Asia exclusive. And a lot of times this gets confused with Chinese New Year. There's the groove, there's fractal, then there's all the numbered inserts like cubic, cosmic, impact, then the low number stuff like lava, Chinese New Year red ice. This is one that kind of gets overlooked because it's more of a short print Asia exclusive. Again, Pop 1. Really like this card. We'll see what it does at auction because it's going straight to auction. Then last but not least, again, I talked about this in my last video. I'm getting really beat up with sending cards in straight to get graded without cracking them out of their seal, whether it be a sealed case or a redemption sticker. This is one, and I don't know if I'm seeing this where it's a line that's going through the card. This was a card that was sealed straight from Topps. And I liked it because the card was the case was beat up, the case was scratched. Kind of made me think that the card had been, you know, sitting in somebody's collection, just getting beat up. Now, if we look at this, the corners there's a little bit of a corner wear there. That would probably knock it down to a 9. Again, this is different light. Yeah, there's another corner issue. So I would say that in itself knocks it down to a 9. So if there's any other big significant issue, now granted, you could have 9 centering, you could have 9 corners, you could have 9 surface, you could have 9 edges, and the card still, if it presents like a 9, it should be a 9. It's relatively easy to see what distinguishes, you know, 8, 9, and 10. So there's probably is something maybe here on the surface, and I'm spitting on the cards as I always do. There's probably something on the surface, but you know, I'm not really worried about it. I'm going to just sell this card, take it straight to auction, see what happens. Again, this is that middle tier parallel number to 499. Really nice card. I was hoping that it would at least pull a 9. You know, 8s aren't that great, especially whenever you're submitting them at $150 a card. So overall with this order, it's going to be really interesting to see how I do on it. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is going to do well. A lot of these cards are hot now. They have the potential to not be hot very quickly. You know, Mac Jones is a perfect example of that. Granted, not many people are paying $150 to get cards graded, but for the gems, it will pay off because Mac Jones gems have been selling very well, especially ones in, you know, Patriots uniforms, as those are the only ones that you can get. You know, I mean, you can get the draft ones, but you know, in order to submit and get a Patriots jersey, you have to pay $150 right now to get any of the new product graded at the speed that you need to in order to get them graded. So there's not a lot out there, and the ones that have sold have done very well. So it's kind of the point that I'm getting at, and we're going to give that a try, see what happens. It's the first time I'm playing this first to market thing, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully Shohei also continues to carry some sales as well. All right, guys, let me know what you think down below. Not a perfect order, not as good as some of my last ones, but still a really good order, something I'm excited about. Very excited about flipping these guys, taking that money, rolling it into more purchases, and selling more cards. All right, we'll see you later.